Welcome to our conversation today with the Asentiv Referrals for Life community members from our Tampa area, as we're going to be talking about contact spheres versus power teams. Now, this is going to be an action jam-packed time that we have here, and we've got a couple questions that we're going to be answering. Just so you know, here's what we're up for. There is a lot going on, though. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can go in the description below and skip ahead if you want to. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is what is the best way to get referrals. It's going to be around this idea of contact spheres and power teams. We're going to define what is a contact sphere relationship, what is a power team, what's the difference, because I know oftentimes they're used interchangeably. They're not the same, though. There's a difference, and we'll tell you about that. We'll address the questions, do power teams even work? Is it worth it? How to make your power team successful. So we've got a lot of different things that we're going to be chatting about today in our conversation. If you're watching this live, we would love to hear your questions, your comments. Put those into the comments wherever you happen to be watching this. If you happen to be on Facebook while you're watching this, though, do know you may need to connect your Facebook and the Restream. On the screen here, we've got chat.restream.io/FB. I know that's a lot of stuff, so I'll leave it on the screen for a moment there. If you want to join us, we would love to hear from you. We would love to be able to share your comments and your questions with the world. So first, joining us today, I do have Mr. Tom Fleming, who is here to talk to us. And I think we want to start today's conversation with this idea of what is the best way to get referrals. And I know this is a massive conversation, isn't it, Tom?
It is, and there's lots of myths out there about the best way to get referrals.
Oh, you want to tell us a myth or two before we get into some of the better ways?
Sure. I mean, I don't want to call it a myth necessarily, but a lot of people will say, well, your current clients are your best source of referrals. And I think by the end of today's conversation, you'll discover that that's probably not true. Although your current clients are a good source of referrals. And then there's the myth that friends and family are a great source of referrals. And yes, they want to help you. They have a desire to help you. They're excited to help you. But oftentimes they just don't have the tools. They don't have the connections to refer us on a consistent basis, which again, by the end of today, you're going to learn that the concept of power teams, implementing that strategy in your business does position you to attract a consistent flow of referrals by surrounding yourself with people that can pass your business all day, every day.
Awesome. Love the thoughts. And here's some of the myths. And I know we talk about a lot of this stuff in Asentives Ignite Your Business. We're here today to focus on contact spheres. So that's going to be, maybe it's not the only way or the best way, but that's going to be our focus. And we're pulling all of this talk about contact spheres and power teams from a program Tom and I just put together. Tom, you want to tell us 20 seconds a little bit about what we've got coming out starting today, and then we're going to dive into the content.
Yeah, absolutely. We realize that people's time is precious and everybody has a different schedule, if you will. So what we did is we gathered up a group of 15 or 20 professionals in the area here and put them through our 3-hour training on contact spheres and power team. And we recorded it for your convenience. And later today, you'll hear how to access that particular training session so that you can incorporate all the intricate ideas that we shared about these concepts for yourself in your business for prosperity. Sorry, that was a bit longer than 20 seconds.
That's totally fine. We're good to go. I've got the link up here so you can find the information, bit.ly/TNT, which stands for Tom and Tiffany or Tiffany and Tom, depending which way you want to look at it.
Because we're explosive. We're explosive.
Yes. we're going to make things explode within your business to help them grow. All right. So in addition today, we are also joined by Referrals for Life community members. Oh, that was an interesting way that screen just did, isn't it? Let's change that around a little bit. There we go. We've got joining us today our community members Melinda Lugo and Sean Yesner as well. And we're actually here to talk about this idea of what is a contact sphere relationship. What is a contact sphere relationship? And since Tom taught me what a contact sphere relationship is, I'm going to kick it over to him to define contact sphere for us.
Sure. Simply professionals in a non-competing industry that serve the exact same target market that you serve. And so that means you have to know what your target market is within your business in order to determine what industries are on your power team.
Wait, so you're telling me I've got to determine my target market first?
Yes, and it needs to go beyond somebody, anybody, and everybody. Or, my target market is small to medium-sized businesses. That's too broad. Too broad.
Gotcha. I can see that. What do you want to share with people out there that are saying, but I don't know who my target market is? Just tell me who my contact sphere relationships are.
Well, I would suggest that they receive some consultation from you or myself, either in a complimentary coaching session, or possibly they may just have interest in registering for Ignite Your Business. We spend a 2-hour module in that college level program, actually exploring what could be your best target market for your business.
Awesome. Excellent. So I think with this idea of contact spheres, I want to go to some of our guests here and see, what are their, not guests, my co-hosts, my whatever, the other people here on the screen that you're watching. What are some examples of your contact sphere relationships? So if you want to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, as well as what are those professions that you find can refer you all day, every day. And for those of you watching, we would love to hear from you as well. So if you want to put into the comments wherever you're watching, who are you, what do you do, as well as your professions, if you know there's professions that refer you well. And on the screen, if you're on Facebook, do go to chat.restream.io/FB to connect the two. All right, so I'm going to go ladies first. Melinda, you want to share with us who are you, what you do, and who do you find are really amazing referral sources for you?
Okay, thanks, Tiffany. So my name is Melinda Lugo. I am the co-founder and co-owner of Brandon Pain Treatment Center. We are a neurosomatic therapy practice, and that is to say that we help people that are dealing with persistent pain issues. We do it using manual massage therapy techniques. So when I think about contact sphere relationships and professions that tend to refer to me often, things like chiropractors come to mind, things like dentists, things like your family practice doctor or your physical therapist, people that are in that health and wellness world, that we tend to service a lot of the same people.
Excellent. Thank you so very much for sharing that. How about you, Sean?
So thank you for inviting me to be on this live. I'm Sean Yesner. I'm an attorney. I own my firm is called Yesner Law. We help people that want to have more money at the end of the month rather than more month at the end of the money. So I help people to eliminate debt, either through negotiating it away or bankrupting it, or possibly even suing a creditor who has been a little bit too aggressive in their collection activities. And one of the interesting things, one of the things I think people don't understand about contact spheres, and I know we're going to talk about power teams, just because I'm an attorney doesn't mean that other attorneys are in my contact sphere. I'm an attorney that focuses in layman's terms, I'm an attorney that focuses on bankruptcy. So that doesn't necessarily mean that a business law attorney is going to be a good referral, a good contact sphere relationship. They may be a good referral source, but they're not going to be a good contact sphere relationship because of what Tom said, who taught me the definition of contact spheres and power teams too. But the issue there is we're not focusing on the same type of client. I'm focusing on someone who is struggling with their money, with their funds, with their budget, where a business law attorney may be focusing on someone who has the money to start up a new business, has the money to get their business up and running off the ground. And so just to lump all attorneys into a contact sphere isn't really doing justice to the definition of a contact sphere. Now, that having been said, family law attorneys are in my contact sphere specifically because typically it's a lot of times it's finances that cause the divorce. And so there's a lot of back and forth there between us. Probate attorneys, because again, when someone passes away, there's a loss in income there. Financial advisors and CPAs are interesting. Sometimes we can be at both ends of the spectrum. The financial advisor dealing with people that have money and me dealing with people that have no money. But I'm starting to find some financial advisors that say, hey, we've got people coming to us because they're running out of money. They're invading their retirement accounts and paying off these creditors. What can you do to help? And then a lot of times realtors. When someone's having financial issues that affect the home, one of the first places they go to is a realtor.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean, for sharing. Tom, you want to share, what you do and who are great referral sources for you?
Sure, but first, I just learned a lot in Sean's overview of his profession and his appropriate contact sphere relationships.
Isn't it amazing what we can learn in a minute sometimes if we're really focused on the information that we're sharing?
Yeah, probably a lot of the audience people know Sean, and they're sitting there writing down, oh, I can introduce Sean to so-and-so, to so-and-so. I've been focusing a lot of my time on business coaching. And, I think there's three phases of every business. There's startup on one end, there's sale on the other, and then there's everything in between. Good contact sphere relationships for me as a business coach are business attorneys, and accountants, which new business owners often seek out their help upon startup in terms of what type of structure should I incorporate as, what type of accounting, bookkeeping system should I be following. So those are great contact sphere relationships for me. Marketing consultants, marketing companies are also great contact sphere relationships for me because they're dealing with companies that are looking to grow and they're willing to invest in the growth of their company. And oftentimes business owners are running a successful business, but they're saying to themselves, well, what's my vision? What's my vision for the next step of my company? And so I'm really excited to work with those type of clients. And then the last type of contact sphere relationship I'll mention is business brokers. Business brokers do a lot of coaching of their clients, preferably 3 to 5 years before the sale of that business, to help that business position themselves for sale. And often I am the intermediary, if you will, between the business broker and the business owner in kind of rolling up my sleeves and helping the business owner do some heavy lifting, again, with respect to positioning the company to maximize their sales price.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom. And I love some of these that Tom worked with, as well as I enjoy also partnering with Chamber of Commerce membership directors, the chair of professional associations. I think there's huge power in working with those networking organizations. So those are a couple of my favorite. And as we look at this question of, what is a contact sphere relationship? I want to circle back to an idea. I don't know that we actually shared it, but we've kind of touched on it. Tom mentioned earlier, one of the myths is that your clients are your best referral sources. No, your contact sphere relationships are your best referral sources. However, I do want to at least acknowledge the fact that in Asentives Ignite Your Business, we talk about the fact there's 8 different types of referral sources. One of those is your clients. One is contact sphere relationship. And as Sean alluded to, sometimes we have those other professions that can be great referral sources like the other attorneys, but aren't necessarily defined as contact sphere relationship. Anything else y'all want to add about contact spheres before we go to power teams?
Well, I think that contact spheres are one of the most talked about, but one of the least understood concepts in all of networking. And the reason I say that is I truly feel if people understood the power of power teams, the power of contact spheres, they would invest more time in developing the relationships associated with them.
Awesome. Yes. And that's why we did what, Tom?
Well, we took an opportunity to record a 2-3 hour session, I think it was, to help support people with understanding the power of power teams, so that they would have a vision of what benefits there are to investing their time in leveraging these powerful relationships.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you much. So, all right, we've teased it. What are power teams? That's the whole point of this video, contact spheres versus power teams, which does make it seem a little bit like they're fighting each other, though I feel it's almost more of an evolution. It's the contact sphere is the beginning, and then we become the power team by choice. But before I get into that, Tom, you want to tell us what a power team is?
Well, first, I think we need to contrast and make a distinction between contact sphere and power team.
Okay, we can skip ahead to that.
Well, just, going back to contact sphere, that group or a set of industries that are non-competing with you that have the same target market. Contact sphere, that term to me is a noun. It's a list of those professionals, which Melinda did a great job of identifying who her contact sphere relationships were, as did Sean, as did you, Tiffany. But if contact spheres are a noun, the concept of power teams is a verb. It's that contact sphere in action. Because just to know people in a set of industries that share the same target market as you doesn't necessarily mean you're going to generate relationships from those relationships. We have to invest time, we have to engage, we need to take action in developing those relationships so that, again, there is a consistent flow of referrals. So contact spheres, noun. Power teams, verb.
That's assuming that we remember our old school grammar, right?
Does assume that, yes.
Yeah, so I love the distinction of them. What have been your experience, Sean and Melinda, in seeing the difference in power teams versus contact spheres? What have you seen as being the difference?
Well, I mean, for me personally, I think a power team relationship, there's certainly to Tom's point, a level of intention, focus when it comes to working with a power team member. As I mentioned, I've got some great contact sphere relationships, but I think within the power team, there's a certain level of alignment that happens, and that kind of simplifies the process of being able to refer clients back and forth to each other.
Gotcha. How about you, Sean?
Well, I agree with everything, and again, to the extent I learned about contact spheres and power teams, it was from you and Tom. So we're all sort of speaking the same language. I think for me, some of the cool stuff that I've been able to do with some of my power teams, I was on a real estate power team. Another side of my practice is real estate law, and so we attended a trade show together to target first-time home buyers, because for me as the real estate contract attorney, the title attorney at the time, the realtor, the mortgage originator, the insurance agent, we all wanted to target those first-time home buyers. So we actively, as a power team, networked at a trade show for first-time home buyers. In fact, we had Tom come in and give us all sort of a primer on how to do that as a team. So, for me, those kinds of actions and activities, one of our other Referrals for Life members, Jason Avery, talks about, when he talks about power teams, he talks about I have, I need, I will. So we meet on a regular basis as a power team, once a week, once a month, twice a month, whatever it happens to be. And what have we done? What do we have that's of interest to the other power teams members? What do we need? What do we need help with from our other power team, whether it be business advice, referrals, whatever? And then what will I do for my power team members? And we run through that as an agenda. And so now we are all focused intentionally on what are we going to do to support each other? What action items are we going to put into place right there at that meeting to support each other moving forward.
Awesome. Excellent. And if you're watching and you're like, hey, what did he share again? We actually do explore that in the Power Teams program Tom and I have mentioned in this video. You can find more information at bit.ly/TNT Power Teams. We actually have a video with Jason explaining it, as well as a short ebook to kind of get you into that meeting format. And I think that's one of the important things that when we answer this question of, how to make my power team successful, do you think a meeting would be helpful?
A power team meeting? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So we want to have a meeting. Typically, you want to meet at least twice a month. It's hard to get the momentum going quicker than if you don't meet more frequently. It's hard to get the momentum going. You're going to want to use an agenda. Sean mentioned one of 2 agendas that we use. You want to make sure you have the right people on your team. Sometimes it's like, oh, look, I love Melinda. She is so amazing. I used to have this pain in my back, and I named it. It's called the spot. And it would just bother me every day, and it's gone now. Yay, I love Melinda. She's awesome. She should be on my power team. No, she shouldn't. I may love her. I think she's amazing.
I love you too, Tiffany.
Yeah, but our target markets aren't the same. So we'd be putting together all this energy within the power team without a lot of our clients being the same. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we talk about in the power team programs is why power teams fail. And I think it's really important in creating the success and helping the power team work is making sure you have the right people. Because that's a question we frequently get. Do power teams work? And I'm going to ask y'all, do power teams work?
Yes.
No.
I get it.
Work if you work the power team.
Okay, tell us a little bit more about that, Tom.
In our other programs, we talk about the VCP process being a relationship development process. First, we gain visibility, then credibility, and then profitability. And how relationships are developed is we find opportunities to engage with people because of things that we might have in common. Similar interests, growing our business. And so it's very important to meet, to create that momentum and to what I refer to as turn up the heat on a relationship. Visible relationship might be indicative of 100-degree water. Credible relationship might be indicative of 211-degree water, and then a profitable relationship indicative of 212-degree water, boiling water. Why is boiling water important? Boiling water creates steam. Steam is a form of energy. And from there, a power team and the referrals that you're receiving from your power team members, which, by the way, should provide you with 50 to 70% of your overall referrals. You asked earlier, Tiffany, what's the best strategy to generate referrals? Tell me another strategy where you can get 50 to 70% of your referrals from that one activity.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to, you mentioned earlier that it's the most talked about but least understood, because I think if people realize that if I found the right 4, 6, or 8 people to pass me referrals all day, every day, I would be full in my business. I think if people really grasp that, they would be doing way more of it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, to put this concept in really simple terms, let's just say, for example, the 4 of us are on the same power team. We wouldn't be, but let's just say we each have 200 clients. We each have 200 clients. That means I have 200 clients to refer to Tiffany, Melinda, and Sean, and they all the same for me. Where else can I be involved in a one-to-one relationship where the likelihood of 200 new clients could come my way?
And that's assuming that there's only 4 of us, and that's assuming that we only have 200 clients.
Exactly.
Imagine if there were 8 of us. Imagine if we had 1,000 clients.
So I track a ton of data for the law firm, and I just did a quick calculation. 63.95% of my referrals in 2022 so far have come from power team relationships.
Ta-da.
The examiner with the data to back it up.
And I can go more decimal
Awesome.
places than 2 if you'd like.
I'm good with 2.
Okay.
So does that sound like that we're saying yes, power teams work?
Yes.
Yes.
What else? I know Tom and I added a little bit. Anything else, Melinda, Sean, you want to add on this? Do power teams work?
I mean, I would say I'm going to pull an example. It's actually from outside of my normal power team, but it's something that I saw that was simply amazing. We have in our BNI chapter, we've got a business to business power team, and they work together. They're very proactive in trying to help support each other, trying to help drive referrals to each other. They will often go seeking out the same type of individual. I think last month alone, they were really seeking an attorney. They brought in a guest speaker to their power team meeting. This attorney came and presented. I mean, it was fantastic. And it's not the first time that they've done it, but they have a really clear vision for how they want to come together as a team. They will oftentimes ask for the same person or the same type of person, even in their weekly presentations, and continually hearing those messages over and over again really gets everyone else's antennas up to try to find these people for them. So, I mean, whenever they do it, and I'm conditioned now to look for it. Every time they do it, I go, man, kudos to you guys, because you guys have nailed it.
That's awesome.
Question for you and Tom. Tiffany, is there a minimum number to constitute a power team?
Starts with at least 2.
Yeah.
Well, and so here's why I ask. I did see it was I believe an Aflac agent and a business coach, I believe. And what they would do is once a month they would get together and they'd spend half the day visiting the Aflac agents' clients, and then the second half of the day visiting the business coach's clients together. So they'd visit in the morning, they'd have lunch, and then they'd visit in the afternoon. And regularly we're passing 6 figures in closed business between each other per month.
Per month. Nice.
Per month.
Awesome. And I love the idea of, to me, it's, hey, let's start with 2 and then a third and a fourth and a fifth. And you're going to, people will come and go. But I feel like the more people you have, the larger the pool, the more you're able to leverage your relationships. Mm-hmm. So what I want to do, we could talk about power teams for hours and hours. Tom mentioned we just recorded a 3-hour program that you can watch. It's at bit.ly/TNT Power Teams. Or, if you want to go next level for, that is not the right link. Hold on. Let me get you the right link. That's the right link. We do 25 hours on how to have successful power teams inside the Ignite Your Business. And so we're here today scratching the surface of this idea of contact spheres and power teams. And I don't think it's a versus, it's a yes and. But as we're coming to the close of this video, I just want to go around really quick and let everybody share any last minute thoughts, suggestions, tips that you have for our viewing audience on contact spheres and power teams. Briefly.
I mean, I guess I'll start is that part of what makes it work is working for each other. So, again, especially within BNI, we talk about givers gain, but even outside of BNI, you give without the expectation of getting something in return, and it will naturally come back to you. So I wouldn't ask any of my power team members to do for me what I would be unwilling to do for them. And a lot of times I'll take the lead and do it for them first, even to teach them how to do it, for them to then return and introduce me and give me referrals and that kind of stuff. So like Tom said, power teams work if you work the power team.
Awesome. Melinda, you have a closing thought for us?
Yes, I would say, and I think Tom mentioned it earlier, right? It's developing deep relationships. Power team relationships run deep. And so you've got to, find your tribe, find your power team, get to know each other, spend time together, and that relationship can flourish.
Awesome. Tom?
My closing comment is more around how impressed I am just to participate in this session, and really how impressed I am with Melinda and Sean. Tiffany and I's business is to train referral-based marketing skills. She's been doing it since 2005. I've been doing it since 1996. Melinda and Sean have been clients of ours, and they're part of what we refer to as our referrals for life community. These people are experts in referral-based marketing, and they've just been engaged with us for years. And to be part of this and have Sean and Melinda, literally teach and share the concepts that Tiffany and I have been focused on, in addition to being medical practitioners and attorneys, it just makes me sit in awe of what it is we do, and the success of people that have opted to surround themselves in our community. Referrals for life.
Yeah. I love our Referrals for Life community. It's like the best of the best of the networkers, super smart and super fun. We like having a good time with these folks as well. And the last thing, there's like 17 things that I want to share with y'all. However, I said one, and I think it's just about, let me develop those deep relationships like Melinda mentioned, that with people that get this idea of referral marketing is a sport, it's a game, there's a plan, there's a way to make it happen. And if you follow the agenda and the system, and those of you that know me know I'm not a fan of systems, but I use them because they work. Your life, your business can be so much easier with a handful of the right people passing you referrals all day, every day. And that's what power teams are all about. Thanks everybody so much for being here with us. And I want to say those of you watching live, thanks so much and happy networking, y'all.